Hey, David, Ben Shapiro was called alt-right in an article recently written about him. Then the article was corrected, and it then just called him a conservative. Is Ben Shapiro actually alt-right? Yeah, so an article was written about right-winger Ben Shapiro. I believe it was in The Economist, and it named him an alt-right sage, I think was the word that it used. Then after people said he's condemned the alt-right or he's criticized the alt-right, he's not alt-right himself. I believe the headline or the subheadline on the article was changed to radical conservative or something like that. So the question is he or isn't he alt-right? He's criticized the alt-right. Some on the alt-right don't like him. So let's take it in a few different ways. Is Ben Shapiro by identity alt-right? I think the answer is no. He's not identified as alt-right. The alt-right isn't particularly filled with Jews. Ben Shapiro is Jewish, although that doesn't mean one thing or the other definitively, but we're starting to kind of paint a picture. And Ben Shapiro also has been critical of the alt-right as a movement, if not for their ideology, maybe more for their tactics and the way that they have tried to implement their points of view. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying Ben Shapiro's ideas are objectively better, worse, more or less damaging than the alt-right on the basis of being yes or no part of the alt-right. Ben Shapiro and the alt-right can both be distinct groups and have equally bad ideas or equally irrelevant ideas or whatever. Now, on the issues, we would be sort of stupid if we ignored the reality that there's lots of ideas that Ben Shapiro does share with the alt-right. There are points of overlap. People are poor because they're lazy or they want to be, or they just haven't decided yet that they're not going to be poor anymore. Okay, I mean, I'm not, these are not direct quotes, but these are ideas that generally are common to Ben Shapiro and to the alt-right. Lower taxes on rich people. Okay, I mean, there's many more groups than just Ben Shapiro and the alt-right that have that ideology, but they share it. Make abortions more difficult to get. Enclaves of the alt-right believe that, although part of the alt-right is sort of indifferent to the issue of abortion. So my main criticism of calling Ben Shapiro alt-right isn't that there is not a lot of overlap in the ideas. It's that Shapiro, to me, has always been an establishment right-winger, an establishment sort of reactionary. Alt suggests that it is not establishment. It's an alternative to the establishment right. Overall, Ben Shapiro, both by political ideology and by his place within sort of the media milieu, is an establishment guy. Part of alt is that there's this outside insurgency sort of element to it. Shapiro's just an establishment reactionary conservative who, yes, has sort of aligned himself with this intellectual dark web, which has kind of that, they want to claim to be this outsider insurgent thing. Whether they are or not can kind of be debated. The other reason I think that Shapiro is much more in line with the traditional right-wing reactionaries than the alt-right is that he's way more religiously oriented than the alt-right as a movement. Certainly, many alt-rightists are often religious individually, but not in the way that Ben Shapiro is in terms of how his religion directly, I mean, that famous thing where Dave Rubin asked him if he'd bake him a gay wedding cake or something like that. And he said, no, I wouldn't because I'm an Orthodox Jew, but I would still be your friend. The direct influence of religion on Ben Shapiro's politics seems to be different than the alt-right. But in the end, this is an overblown focus on labels. Reactionary right-wingers, conservatives, and the alt-right have many areas of overlap. They disagree in some ways, and they probably disagree about implementation. They may disagree to some degree about Donald Trump. But I don't know that I would go crazy focusing on the labels. Economist was probably wrong to say Ben Shapiro is an alt-right sage, and I don't think it was necessary to say that to have an article that is otherwise accurately assessing his political beliefs. We've got a great bonus show for you today. Become a member or a patron to get instant access to the bonus show. I am hosting the David Pakman Show on Monday. Tuesday's a travel day out to Las Vegas, Nevada, where a number of progressive media hosts will be meeting for a biannual. Wait, is biannual every other? Semi-annual is every other. Biannual is twice a year. For a biannual meeting of the minds. And I'll be broadcasting from Las Vegas Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week. But I will be in studio on Monday.